Hey everybody, it's Fox with FoxeoGames, and this is a Fox First Scent for Tree of Savior, an MMO that was in closed beta for quite a while. Then it opened up to a sort of paid closed beta, where as long as you bought one of these packages, you could play a month early. And now it's open to the general public. It is free to play, which means it's not entirely free, obviously. If you really want to get deep into any of these free-to-play games and get the most out of them, you generally have to pay for them. Only the best, most well-designed free-to-play games let you get a fairly full experience without paying for anything. Now, this right here, we've started with the first boss fight that I encountered in the game. I've got this little character called Xiao Mei. I ripped that name from Shining Hearts. And I'm playing as, I believe it's sort of like a fighter or warrior type character. That's what I normally do in these games, because I find in MMOs they're usually the easiest to play because they're the least squishy, so they're less likely to die. I'm now level 6, and it's fairly easy to level up, at least early on, but the problem, of course, with a Fox First Scent of an MMO is that MMOs can change drastically the longer you play them. The last major MMO I played to any real extent was World of Warcraft. Obviously, probably the most popular MMO of all time, at least paid MMO of all time. It did have that gateway that you actually had to pay a monthly subscription for, which used to be normal back in the day. But anyway, I made it all the way to max level. I started at the Burning Crusade, maxed out level there, then the next 2 expansions after that. And of course, when you first start out in a game like that, and in a game like this, you're just running around leveling up, doing quests and things of that sort. Now, boom, level up right there. I love that level up, how it knocks all the enemies back. They really know how to make the combat satisfying and how to really emphasize what's happening. It's sort of that, and I hate to say it, but that mobile game type experience where they really reward you with flashy sound effects and lights and all sorts of sparkles on the screen, and the screen shakes when you level up and things like that. Just little tiny rewards that you don't notice, but that kind of feed that Skinner box desire that we all have. You know, the idea of, oh, just a little more. You've progressed just a little more. Here we're getting some skills set up. It took me a long time to actually realize, oh, hey, wait a minute, I need to spend these skill points I'm getting as I'm leveling up. You can put them into stats, and then there's some stat points you can put into your stats, obviously, and then there's skill points that you can invest in various skills, and you can level those skills up. They all start at level 1. I've gotten my thrust skill to level 2 right there. And of course, as you use them, they use up your mana or focus points or energy or whatever they want to call it. It's a first impressions, guys. I'm not an expert. Today's drink of choice is coffee, hot and black. Now, these are these little turtle dudes. The boss was just a big version of it. Like most free-to-play games, you fight a lot of the same enemies over and over again, and then sometimes they're really cheap with bosses and just make the boss like a really large version of a regular enemy, maybe change the color of the enemy. Of course, as you progress, you know, more difficult versions of the same enemy are differentiated by a little more than maybe a piece of armor that they wear, a different weapon, or a different color palette swap, as they call it. This was one quest I actually did. Most of the early part of this game seemed to be just grinding, and I looked it up online. That does seem to be a thing. This is another kind of boss encounter with the Mushkaria, which is a giant mushroom with a top hat. And that's cool, because he's a mushroom with a top hat. You'll notice that it has that very Asian MMO style to it. A lot of the enemies, at least early on, are super cute. The designs are sort of that cutesy chibi design. You'll notice the statue of the goddess Zamina, or however it's pronounced, is kind of that cutesy anime style design, Asian anime art style, which I liked, and that's initially what attracted me to the game. It's free to play. I downloaded it through Steam. I'm not sure if you need Steam. I don't think you do, but that option is there. Now, I've only played the Swordsman, so I'm no expert by any means, but I did enjoy the combat. Even though it was surprisingly simple, there's a lot of hack and slash. I did enjoy that. The only problem I have, and the biggest problem I have with the game so far that I experienced during my first hour of playtime, is the control. I don't know how to explain it, but you can't fully use a controller, but you can mostly control your character with a controller. But if you need to get into the menus, then I couldn't find any way to do it with the controller. I had to switch to the mouse and keyboard, but if you try to play mouse and keyboard, it's not set up well. You actually have to use the arrow keys in combination with the mouse and other strange keys, and I couldn't really find a way to bind the keys properly to fully use mouse and keyboard or to fully use a controller. So I found myself using the controller for general combat, but then when I need to do anything else, I'd put the controller down and start using the mouse and keyboard. But then when I wanted to go back into combat, I'd take my hands off the mouse and keyboard, put it back on the controller, There was also a stutter that you'll notice here. Every so often as I was running through the town, or any area really, the graphics stuttered a little bit. And then some of the smoke effects, like the fog effects, would actually flicker, and I couldn't find a solution for that. I'm using an NVIDIA GTX 980 Ti with the latest drivers and the latest version of the game. Overall, I really enjoyed my initial experience with it. It is free to play, so you can always give it a shot. The only cost is really the time it takes to download it. And if you have a download cap, I guess that's part of the cost as well. But I enjoyed my time with Tree of Savior so far. If I do have time to play more, who knows when that will be, I may play more of it and let you guys know how I feel about the additional playtime I've spent with it. So have you played Tree of Savior? If so, let me know what you think about it below. If you got some suggestions for an early game new beginner like me, let me know in the comments section, and I will see you guys next time.